All right. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm honored by the invitation, truly. My heartfelt thanks go to Sarah, Deb, Phil, and the University of Arkansas OEI team for hosting me on this remarkable occasion. I want to extend a special recognition to the sponsors and ecosystem partners around the room whose generous support has helped to bring this event to life for so many years. Witnessing the unity of the Arkansas ecosystem and nurturing the next wave of young entrepreneurs is truly inspiring. It's a powerful example for promising venture investors like myself and our group of High Street Equity Partners. It's a legacy that we aspire to uphold as we aim to support pioneering events like the Heartland Challenge and Governor's Cup into the future. If I may, I would like to take a moment to spotlight some of the truly remarkable individuals behind these sponsor organizations. Individuals that I've personally met over the last 2 years and who have warmly embraced High Street Equity Partners into the ecosystem. It's deeply meaningful for me to have this platform and use the opportunity to publicly say to a crowd what I've expressed in private conversations to a few. To Brad Henry from the Natural Capital team, he's been an amazing resource to us since the early days of High Street and very generous with his time and his advice. That advice has led to millions in new business for our firm. Chidozie from Symbiosis. Chidozie is a truly remarkable talent and investor. He is an investor prototype. Chidozie, he's been a great resource to us in the early days of High Street, reviewing our material and providing encouragement and support that affirmed that what we were developing as a VC firm was truly special and was needed in the region. To Sam and Leslie at Arkansas Capital, you guys are really special, really special. Your investment partnership is deeply meaningful to me. You've believed in our vision and you've championed us in rooms in our absence. I deeply appreciate our business partnership and growing personal friendship. To the Jeffs of Cadron Capital Partners, and Cleet of New Road, and Tracy of 46 Capital. As the veterans in the region in the VC space, you guys have welcomed us into the ecosystem with open arms, truly. I'm appreciative of our early interactions and looking forward to our future collaborations. And to the other sponsors, the leadership team, of whom I don't yet personally know by name, I'm looking forward to connecting with you and finding ways to collaborate with you to support your work and as we do our work in the region. So, to the graduate students, congratulations to all of the graduate students around the country who participated in the Heartland Challenge. Your dedication and hard work have brought you to this moment, and it's an honor to celebrate your achievements this evening. Tonight, my remarks will speak directly to these graduate student entrepreneurs. I'm going to do my best to offer some insight and pull back the curtain for you into the world of venture investing and the journey ahead of you as entrepreneurs. The circumstances you'll face, the questions you'll have to answer, and the people that you'll meet along the way. And tonight, I'll use as a foundation the teachings of several investors that I've studied and admire. Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, and Don Valentine, to name a few. Their investment philosophies align deeply with my beliefs on business, life, and investing. So consider them to be the one who wrote the textbooks from which I'll be speaking and teaching tonight. So to that end, as we begin, let me just establish the fact that I don't know much relative to what I need to know. To explain, whatever success I've had in life and in business has more to do with me knowing how to deal with me not knowing things and inspiring and collaborating with other people and the right people more than anything that I know. The idea that I should be telling you or telling people what to do sounds kind of presumptuous to me. It is through self-awareness and learned humility that I've created a values and principle framework, those close to me called Mitchisms, for addressing life's many unknowns. And this has turned out to be surprisingly meaningful and rewarding for me in my journey. I simply hope that by sharing some of these lived experiences, it may be helpful to some of you. So I'm going to go through 10 quick points tonight. First, I want to ask the student entrepreneurs to reflect on the question, what does a successful life look like? We all harbor deep-seated needs and aspirations that uniquely define success for us. We each have to decide for ourselves what success is. As Ray says, some people want to change the world, and others simply want to live in harmony with it. Understanding that no path is superior to the other, neither is better. So I ask you, the student entrepreneurs, for you to truly get an understanding now for yourself, what does success look like for you? As entrepreneurs, recognizing and defining your version of success early on, I believe is pretty essential. This self-awareness is a cornerstone of your entrepreneurial journey, and ultimately will decide who joins you on that journey. Your co-founders, your team members, your investors, and even your customers. You'll need to craft storytelling around this vision of success for each of them, and these stakeholder groups will need to get buy-in. So this leads me to talk about one of those stakeholder groups in which I have some form of agency tonight, the investors. One of the team members participating in the Heartland Challenge asked me yesterday, how do we find the right investors for our startup? What questions should we ask them? And I want to offer some insight and considerations to that. It's important to consider, I think, both your stage and industry vertical when thinking about the right investment partners, right? Some investors focus exclusively on specific stages, such as pre-seed, seed, or Series A, while others only invest in particular sectors, right? Like health tech, or clean tech, or ag tech. Often, it can be a combination of both, like for us at High Street, right? And I see a lot of startup founders that I speak to that tell me stories of rejection. And I can tell pretty early on in these conversations that there was no alignment with the investors that they were speaking to. The entrepreneur sort of can view all investors at times as a monolith. And this is just not the case. So to those students here today that asked me that question yesterday, I recommend initially focusing your efforts on investors who specialize in your specific stage and vertical. And after some research, I think you'll likely find, let's say, a list of 50 to 100 of those VC firms that match your criteria. And as you meet with them, try to ask them for more recommendations along the way. Even if or when they say no, I've found that they'll make recommendations for you. And it's worth noting that venture capital may not always be the best funding route. Venture capital is just one of the many ways to finance your business, right? It's worth considering grants, SBA, mezzanine credit, crowdfunding, venture debt, angel investors, the list goes on. These other funding sources allow you to retain much more ownership of your company, in fact, right? And in contrast, venture capital typically looks to take 10 to 20% ownership of your company with each funding round. The ask and requirements of accepting venture money is crazy. It's unique in that it asks you to focus on rapid growth intensely for 5 to 15 years of your life to the detriment of your personal life, your health, your family, and your personal time. This isn't always discussed in the glamour and perception of a startup founder, right? I simply want you to be fully aware of what you're committing to when pursuing venture capital investment. And when you do meet with VC investors and consider an investment partnership, I would encourage you to politely ask them for a reverse interview session. Many good VC firms will already have this embedded in their process. And during this session, ask questions that help you uncover not just the financial incentives for them, but also the strategic fit for you. Questions like, what's your investment thesis as a firm, and how does our company fit into that? What are you passionate about investing in, and how can I see that in your portfolio companies? How do you look to support your portfolio companies? And what do you typically look for in a return on investment, and over what time frame to try to align expectations? I would speak with founders that the VC firm has invested in, and to try to get a sense of their experience and what that experience has been like in working with the firm. And one of my sayings is that investments are like business partnerships, and business partnerships are like marriages. They're built on trust, sacrifice, shared beliefs and goals, effective communication, vulnerability, empathy, understanding, and long-term connections and relationships. The second point is storytelling. I believe that storytelling is the most critical and important soft skill that you can have as a startup founder. Right? No one is born as a master storyteller. It's a skill honed through practice, right? Understanding how to effectively tell a story is incredibly important in this business because it's just how the money flows. The elevator pitch competition that you did yesterday that I was able to witness, it truly is a helpful exercise for you, right? I view this as short form storytelling, and I can't overstate the power of mastering both short form and long form storytelling. It's an essential soft skill for your arsenal. All right. Point number 3 is, and this is a Mitchism, 1% better each day. My daily promise to myself is simple. I want to get 1% better each day. This philosophy, borrowed from James Clear in his best-selling book, Atomic Habits, has been transformative for me since I've adopted it, but also It's been deeply helpful, I've been told, from the startup founders that I've invested in and shared this advice with. I believe and have witnessed that this approach works for those who's willing to try it. It's easy and it's approachable, and yet it's highly effective. There are small changes that may often appear to make no difference until you cross this critical threshold, and then the impact becomes clear and profound after the fact. The key to harnessing the power of this compound effect is patience. And that's the catch. It requires consistency and commitment. Warren Buffett said it differently, but it resonates just as strong. On a daily basis, the effects of our actions are imperceptible, though their consequences are enormous. To point number 5, being prepared to hear the word no. In entrepreneurship, no often means just not yet. As an entrepreneur, it's highly likely that you'll hear this word, right? And you may hear it from potential customers, potential investors, or even potential rockstar employees that you want to bring on to hire. It's crucial not to take these no's too personally. They're simply a part of the journey that you've chosen. Remember that within each no, there are these seeds of opportunity to learn and grow. I strongly encourage you to consider this. So some people will say no because they're not aligned with your mission. And trust me, this is actually beneficial for you in the long run. Chris spoke a little bit about this in his keynote yesterday. Others might decline because your storytelling needs improvement, and perhaps they just couldn't clearly grasp the problem you were trying to solve and the opportunity at hand. And some will say no simply because it's bad timing and it's not good timing on alignment, right? I've observed that successful startups use the no's as an opportunity to gather more information and to iterate towards progress. Over time, the no's can become helpful building blocks towards success. Remember that you may face 100 no's, and oftentimes that is the number, but you only need a few yeses. And here's a little known secret that's not often publicly shared with you. Even we as investors hear no, right? You think that every investor that I spoke to said yes? You think that every investor that Cleat of New Roads or other investors here said yes? I've heard no, right? We all have. Everyone that's building an investment franchise from the ground up has heard the word no. So rejection is a part of the game on both sides of the table. And understanding this from the start, I think can be immensely helpful for you. We have a saying in the investor world, it's often not no, not ever, but it's no, not now. All right? To point number 6, be yourself. Authenticity is your superpower. In the entrepreneurial journey, don't underestimate the power of authenticity. Authenticity is being true to your values, your vision, and your voice. In a world brimming with curated personas and polished pitches, authenticity is felt and it stands out. Isn't it true that being natural and genuine not only sets you apart, but also builds trust and fosters meaningful connections? We all can feel this and sense this, but it's a matter of how do we incorporate it and live it. Remember, People connect with people. It's not just ideas and businesses. We are in the people business. By embracing your unique qualities and letting your true self shine through, you create a compelling and memorable presence that can propel your business forward in ways that no facade ever could. Compassionate leadership. As the next generation of startup founders, I want to encourage you to strive for compassionate leadership. It's important to demonstrate not only your high IQ, but your high EQ, and how you lead your team and how you manage stakeholders. Compassionate leadership, to me, means recognizing the human element in every decision and interaction that you have. It involves actively listening and at times empathizing and leading with kindness. At times, this may slow you down a little. It may require some conversations to take longer, but that's okay. Long term, it's been my observation that this has proven to be worth it. There's a compounding effect to your good work and reputation, and that's priceless. Number 8, action bias. A few weeks ago, I was at a dinner with several seed stage investors, and we were discussing our portfolio companies to compare notes and just talk about the market. The question posed was, what do you see as a common trait in the top performing founders that you've invested in? One of the key takeaways that I had from that conversation was that the top performing founders distinctly demonstrate a bias towards action. A year or so ago, I gleaned a similar insight from conversations with founders, and even from conversations with team members at High Street. Now, it's a one-liner that I'll say to founders and the team. And it goes, the work you're avoiding and putting off, it's my belief that's where the magic happens. This philosophy of accountability looks to ensure that you're focusing on the right tasks. It's often tempting to focus on the easier task on your to-do list or the medium task on your to-do list. As an entrepreneur, you're often extremely overwhelmed by your everyday and long growing to-do list. I think one of the toughest aspects of entrepreneurship is the self-governance and accountability and setting the right priorities for your company. It's a true challenge, right? And often founders confuse movement with progress. A useful framework that I've discovered is to try to ask the right questions to yourself and your team to try to identify the most difficult and challenging work that you have on your plate that's still outstanding. Whatever those things are, that's precisely where the magic happens and what you should be working on. To put it another way, have a bias towards action and learning, and focus on outcomes over optics. 9, strategic loss will happen. So some call it failure. I like to call it strategic loss. In the world of entrepreneurship, encountering setbacks along your journey is inevitable, and it's a part of it. I urge you to not shy away from these experiences or even try to conceal them. I urge you to think about committed stakeholders that understand that setbacks are an integral part of the process. And we're far more interested in what you learned from them and how these lessons better equip you to execute your vision. Embrace strategic losses as an opportunity for growth. Every challenge offers a lesson, and it's a chance to refine and adapt. Consider how learning, specifically altering your actions based on those experiences, play a crucial role in the evolution of your company. How embracing this mindset of continuous learning from every experience can propel you forward. I publicly say, if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, learn to fail and grow from it. Ultimately, it's through those failures that paves the way for your success. And lastly, number 10, self-love and God. The entrepreneurial journey is undeniably tough, and I've heard at times can feel incredibly lonely. Through all of this, you have to love yourself more than anything, because throughout this, only you and God will endure it all. I believe it's important to have a higher power as a source of strength to help you push through that adversity. Different people have different frameworks, right? My framework is to try to have daily affirmations and scripture readings. To persevere, you'll have to draw upon an inner reserve of resilience and fear. Your journey requires not just vision, but an unwavering faith in yourself and guidance of a higher power, even when a lot of other people don't see it. This dual reliance equips you to navigate the turbulent waters of entrepreneurship, ensuring that you stay anchored no matter how rough things become ahead. So I wish you all the best of luck. God bless you on your journey, and thanks for having me here tonight.